So, you want to be more productive in the new year of 2025, and now you're thinking that you may have to drop some of your hobbies to free more time for the daily grind, but still you don't want to because you do want to have a life. So, let me help you with that dilemma. In this video, I will give you a simple framework to find productive hobbies and enjoy a useful kind of escapism. I will also give you 5 simple ideas for productive hobbies so that you, my lovely busy people, could unwind without sacrificing any of your many ambitions in the new year. We tend to brand escapism in general as a bad phenomenon. Partially, that is correct. You do need to be focused and you do need to avoid time-wasting distractions if you are to be successful. However, as with anything else, you have to approach this with some degree of common sense. If you are already working full-time, growing a side hustle, and maybe looking after kids, one thing you don't want to do is to put too much pressure on yourself and just burn out, because getting out of the burnout is extremely difficult. It's like trying to get back into a prime running shape after breaking your hip. Oh, and happy coincidence, I do have a video on how to get out of the burnout. Check it out. Anyway, the process of pursuing your goals should be sustainable long term, and apart from some special superhuman individuals, to achieve that, we need some recovery time too. So it is preferable that any additional activities like hobbies that we engage in that recovery time won't make us feel guilty about not grinding away instead. So that's where productive hobbies come in. Now, how do we determine which hobbies are productive? I like to use my own little framework which tests my leisure against 5 attributes. So your hobby is productive if it 1. Gives you energy, 2. Has cognitive benefits, 3. Can be completed in 1 hour per day, 4. Develops useful skills, and 5. Promotes good habits. Now, before we go into the examples of productive hobbies that fit into this framework, let's first explore some of the ones on the other side of the spectrum, the leisure activities that fail against all 5 attributes. Number 1. Boozing. This doesn't mean an occasional glass of wine, a dinner or a cold beer on a hot summer evening is a terrible thing. No, we're talking about getting smashed till 3 AM or drinking way more than you should in the pub after work. This won't give you energy. Sorry, there's simply no scientific evidence to the contrary. It destroys your cognitive function, and I can't think of any good habits that come from getting drunk. Can you? Well, you can probably reach the goal of being shit-faced in 1 hour session instead of being proud of it. I would ask yourself whether maybe there is a problem. Getting drunk doesn't qualify as a useful skill. Number 2. Binge watching TV. Have you ever felt energized after binge watching half a season of a TV show in one sitting and just being ready to jump off that couch and take on the world? I doubt it. Watching a murder mystery show for 5 hours straight won't make you smarter. The only habit that binge watching helps to develop is sitting on the couch and stuffing yourself with junk food. By default, it cannot be completed in just 1 hour session. And of course, there is no single useful skill in sight. Number 3. Doom scrolling. Social media can be a beautiful thing, full of amazing educational content, just like this one. So, when used right and in moderation, it can be very useful. However, mindlessly scrolling through feeds is not productive. The constant little dopamine spikes that it gives you will leave you drained, dumb, and addicted. Doom scrolling is a full-day process of multiple sessions, easily adding up to a few hours per day. No useful skills or habits come from it. So now we arrive to the juicy part. Here are the 5 ideas for productive leisure activities or hobbies. We'll assess them against the same 5 attributes. Productive hobby number 1. Exercise. Just to be crystal clear, watching sports on your TV in a couch potato pose doesn't count as exercise. You must get off that couch and go to the gym, or to a boxing class, or a HIIT class, or yoga. Failing that, just go for a run and a stretch, at the very minimum, just go for a walk. Let's see how exercise does with the 5 attributes of productive habits. It has been thoroughly researched and proven that regular exercise helps energy and cognitive function. Just look on the website of pretty much any reputable health organization, or just ask your doctor. Can it be completed in 1 hour per day? For sure, 30 minutes is quite enough to start, in fact. Does it develop useful skills? Well, if being able to move and lift things without breaking down isn't useful, then I don't know what is. And does it develop any good habits? Certainly. Any activity that gives you all of those benefits is a good habit by default. Productive hobby number 2, reading. Let's put listening to audiobooks in the same category. Certainly, educational books are the best here, but even good fiction can be very productive. Reading fires up a bunch of really good structures on our brains, and if it's the content where we learn something interesting, then it's even better. So it is great for cognitive function. Learning from books and getting those eureka moments can be quite motivating and energizing, and it can also be a form of meditation, if you read before bed, for example. You will sleep way better than if you watch TV instead, and sleep equals energy. 1 hour reading session per day is more than enough when you're busy. And does reading develop useful skills? Well, obviously yes, reading is one of the prime skills for learning things. And is it a useful habit? Well, if you read useful stuff and it's not your way to procrastinate from doing what achieves your goals, then it certainly is. Hobby number 3, creative expression. That goes for writing, painting, composing, and all these similar activities. It is a way to express ourselves and organize our thoughts and emotions, which reduces anxiety and stress and therefore spares our energy. Also, these are the kinds of hobbies where you can go into the famous flow state, which may be one of the best types of meditation available. And creative expression benefits our cognitive function too, because you can't create anything without firing up your brain. 1 hour per day is quite enough to make progress with such hobbies. Writing, for example, is most certainly a useful skill for pretty much everyone. It may be less obvious when it comes to painting and composing, but both require being able to look at the world from different angles and creatively solve problems, which is again a useful skill to have. And it can be a very useful habit too, especially for people in jobs that require scaling up a business, as you get into a habit of creating and building things. Hobby number 4, video games. Yes, it is a controversial one, but just hear me out. Video games can indeed be a terrible hobby for people who try to be productive if they overindulge. If, however, you enjoy video games and are able to spend a reasonable amount of time on them, like no more than 1 hour per day, you can reap quite a few benefits from them. So, can video games be good for energy? Absolutely. Playing video games is a form of meditation for some people, so it reduces stress. Also, just like with creative hobbies, in challenging video games you can enter flow state, which cleans all your chakras real quick. Just try some of those Dark Souls game, for example. It can bring some real cognitive benefits too. Hand-to-eye coordination, problem-solving, strategic thinking, all of these are good for your brain and are also useful skills to boot. And playing video games can be a good habit if you do it right. You just need to be very intentional and strict about it. Put gaming sessions in your calendar, making sure that they don't exceed 1 hour a day. And no excuses once you run out of time. Even if you're in the middle of a very difficult boss battle, just shut it down. So it becomes an exercise in discipline too, and therefore a good habit. Productive hobby number 5, cooking. Cooking is also a productive distraction if you're cooking healthy meals. In this case, it takes your mind off other things and promotes better nutrition. Both things are quite important for energy. It still employs your brain as you try to get better with the dishes that you already know or are inventing new ones. So there are cognitive benefits too. And it can certainly be completed within 1 hour of focused effort a day. And being able to create the right nutrition for yourself is both a useful skill and a good habit. And there you have it. As promised, now you have the framework and examples of productive hobbies to make 2025 a more successful and relaxed year for you. Please feel free to share your own ideas of productive hobbies in the comments below. And do try to find the ones that meet the test of the 5 attributes that I've given you. Also, if you found this video useful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. It helps a lot. And thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.